The fluorescent lights of the emergency room flickered overhead as Sarah pressed her trembling hand against the glass partition, watching doctors swarm around the small figure on the gurney. Her daughter. Her everything. The world had condensed into this single moment, this unbearable space between breath and prayer, between hope and the kind of devastation that hollows you out from the inside. She couldn't remember driving here. Couldn't remember anything except Emma's pale face, the way her small chest had struggled for air, the terror in those 7-year-old eyes that had looked to her mother to fix everything, the way mothers are supposed to. But Sarah couldn't fix this. Not alone. The diagnosis had come 6 months earlier, delivered in a sterile office by a doctor who spoke too softly, as if whispering might somehow cushion the blow. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. The words had landed like stones in still water, sending ripples through every corner of their lives. Sarah had held it together in that office, nodding mechanically as the doctor outlined treatment protocols, survival rates, clinical trials. She'd held it together through the first round of chemotherapy, through Emma's thick brown curls falling out in clumps, through the nights when her daughter's small body shook with fever and nausea. She'd held it together through maxing out credit cards, through borrowing from friends, through selling everything of value she owned. But tonight, standing in this hallway that smelled of antiseptic and fear, Sarah felt herself finally breaking. "Mrs. Mitchell?" A nurse appeared beside her, young and kind-faced. "The doctor needs to speak with you." The conversation was a blur of medical terminology that Sarah's exhausted brain struggled to process. Septic shock, organ failure, emergency intervention required, and then the words that stopped her heart. "We need to transfer her to County General. They have the specialized equipment she needs. But your insurance has reached its maximum coverage, and the ambulance transfer alone will cost $8,000. We need authorization before we can proceed." $8,000. It might as well have been $8 million. Sarah's bank account held $43. Her credit cards were maxed. Her parents were gone. Her sister lived paycheck to paycheck across the country. Emma's father had disappeared the day the diagnosis came, leaving nothing but an unpaid phone bill and a forwarding address that didn't exist. "How long do we have?" Sarah heard herself ask, her voice coming from somewhere far away. "Minutes matter here, Mrs. Mitchell. Every moment we delay—" "I'll find it." The words came out stronger than she felt. "Just give me a few minutes, please." Sarah stumbled into the waiting room, her phone clutched in shaking hands. She tried the bank first, already knowing what they'd say. Denied. She tried 3 different emergency loan services. Denied, denied, denied. The waiting room swam before her eyes. Elderly couples holding hands. A teenager with a broken arm scrolling through his phone. A businessman in an expensive suit, jacket folded beside him, talking urgently into his phone about quarterly earnings and stock options. Normal people living normal lives while her world collapsed. Sarah found herself in the bathroom, gripping the sink, staring at a stranger in the mirror. Her reflection looked gaunt, aged a decade in 6 months. She wanted to scream. Instead, she slid down the wall and pulled out her phone one more time, scrolling through her contacts as if someone new might magically appear. Her finger hovered over names, discarding each one. Already borrowed. Can't ask again. Haven't spoken in years. Won't have that kind of money. God, she whispered into her hands. Please, she's just a baby. She deserves to grow up. She deserves to dance at her prom and graduate college and fall in. Love and have her own babies. Someday. Please, I'll give anything. Take me instead. Just please, not her. Not my Emma. The bathroom door opened and a woman entered, older, maybe 60, with silver-streaked hair and elegant clothes. She paused, seeing Sarah crumpled on the floor. Honey, are you all right? Sarah tried to speak but couldn't. Instead, the sobs came. Great heaving gasps that she'd been holding back for 6 months. The woman knelt beside her without hesitation, putting an arm around her shoulders, holding this stranger while she fell apart. My daughter, Sarah finally managed. She's dying. She needs a transfer, but I can't pay for it. I've tried everything. I've sold everything. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to save her. The woman didn't offer empty platitudes. She didn't say it would be okay or that God had a plan. She just held Sarah until the sobs subsided into shaking breaths. What's your daughter's name? She asked softly. Emma Grace Mitchell. And the transfer cost? 8,000. I know I'm not asking you for, come with me. The woman helped Sarah to her feet and led her back to the nurse's station. She walked with the confidence of someone used to being heard, used to making things happen. I need to speak with whoever's handling the transfer for Emma Mitchell, she said, her voice calm but firm. The same nurse appeared, glancing between them with confusion. I'm covering the transfer cost, the woman said, pulling out a black credit card. All of it. Authorize the ambulance immediately. Every second counts. Ma'am, are you family? I'm a human being and that child needs help. Charge the card. Now, please. The nurse looked at Sarah, who could only nod, tears streaming silently down her face. There are forms. Then print them. I'll sign whatever you need. But get that ambulance rolling first. 20 minutes later, Sarah sat in the ambulance beside Emma's gurney, holding her daughter's small hand as they raced through city streets. Emma's eyes fluttered open briefly. Mama? I'm here, baby. I'm right here. We're going to a hospital that has special medicine to make you better. I had a dream about a nice lady. She had a pretty smile. Sarah's throat tightened. She glanced toward the window, seeing her own reflection overlaid against the passing lights. Behind it, she could still picture the woman's face in that bathroom. The way she'd knelt on the floor without a thought for her expensive clothes. The way she'd simply acted when action was needed. Sarah hadn't even gotten her name. At County General, Emma was rushed into intensive care. The doctor there, young and intense, spoke with cautious optimism. The sepsis was aggressive, but they'd caught it in time. The next 48 hours were critical, but Emma was a fighter. They had protocols, medications, equipment. They had a chance. Sarah spent that night in an uncomfortable plastic chair beside Emma's bed, holding her daughter's hand, watching the steady rise and fall of her chest, counting each breath like prayer beads. Nurses came and went. Machines beeped their digital reassurances. And slowly, impossibly, Emma's color began to return. On the second morning, a nurse brought Sarah coffee and a manila envelope. This was left at the front desk for you. Inside was a handwritten note on expensive stationery. Dear Sarah, you asked God for help, and sometimes God works through the hearts of strangers. Emma is going to need ongoing treatment, and no mother should have to choose between her child's life and financial ruin. I've established a fund in Emma's name to cover all her medical expenses, current and future, until she's in full remission. You don't need to know who I am. I'm just someone who once sat where you sat, feeling helpless and terrified, wishing desperately for a miracle. Someone helped me then, when I needed it most. I promised myself that if I ever had the means, I would do the same for others. Your only obligation is to Emma. Love her fiercely. Fight for her courageously. And someday, when you're able, pass this kindness forward in whatever way you can. She's going to make it, Sarah. I know she will. And when she does, tell her that the world is full of people who care about her. Even the ones she's never met. With hope and solidarity. Her. Sarah read the note 3 times, then pressed it to her chest and wept. Not the desperate, hollow sobs of that bathroom floor, but tears of gratitude so profound they felt sacred. She looked at Emma, sleeping peacefully now, her small chest rising and falling with strength. And she understood something she hadn't before. Humanity wasn't an abstract concept. It was this: one person seeing another person's pain and choosing to step into it, to bear it alongside them, to say with actions louder than words, you are not alone. Your fight is my fight. Your child matters to me because she is a child, and that is enough. 3 months later, Emma's scans came back clear. The doctors used words like responding beautifully and excellent prognosis. Her hair was growing back, a fuzzy brown cap that she decorated with sparkly headbands. She'd started school again, nervous at first, then thriving. She talked about becoming a doctor when she grew up, or maybe a superhero. In Emma's mind, there wasn't much difference. Sarah tried repeatedly to find the woman from the hospital, but it was as if she'd vanished. The credit card had been processed through a law firm that politely declined to reveal their client's identity. The medical fund was real and substantial, administered through trustees who wouldn't disclose the benefactor. But Sarah found other ways to honor that gift. She volunteered at the cancer center, sitting with frightened parents in waiting rooms, offering the kind of presence that had been offered to her. She started a meal train for families going through treatment. She organized donation drives for medical expense assistance. And she told Emma the story of her, The mysterious woman who'd saved her life, and because she wanted her daughter to grow up, understanding that kindness isn't just something you feel, it's something you do. One evening, tucking Emma into bed, Sarah found her daughter unusually thoughtful. "Mama, when I grow up and have money, I want to help sick kids like the lady helped me." Sarah kissed her forehead, breathing in the sweet scent of her shampoo, still marveling at the simple miracle of having her here, alive and dreaming of the future. "That's exactly what she hoped you'd say, baby girl." "Do you think I'll ever meet her?" "I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe you'll meet someone else who needs help, and you'll be their miracle." "I hope I'm brave like her." "You already are, Emma. You already are." That night, after Emma fell asleep, Sarah sat at her laptop and updated the crowdfunding page that had never quite gotten off the ground. She changed its purpose, transforming it from a plea for help into a platform to help others. She told Emma's story, careful to honor the mystery of their benefactor. She asked not for money for herself, but for contributions to help other families facing impossible medical bills. The response was overwhelming. Small donations, large donations, notes from people who'd been in similar situations, from people who'd lost loved ones and wished they'd had more time, from people who just wanted to help. Within a week, they'd raised enough to help 3 other families. Within a month, 10 more. Sarah called it the Her Project, a name that honored the woman whose identity remained unknown, but whose impact rippled outward like light through water, touching lives she'd never meet, saving children whose names she'd never know. Because that's what humanity looks like when we choose to see each other, truly see each other, and respond with the full force of our compassion. It looks like one woman on a bathroom floor and another choosing to kneel beside her. It looks like $8,000 given freely, without expectation of repayment or recognition. It looks like a child who survives and grows up to help other children survive. It looks like her, and her, and her. All of us connected by invisible threads of kindness, each one holding up the others. Each one passing forward the grace we've received. Each one answering the desperate prayers of strangers by simply doing what we can with what we have. Emma Grace Mitchell lived, and in living, she became part of a chain of miracles that stretched forward and backward through time, connecting people who would never meet, but who were bound together by the simple, revolutionary act of caring about each other. Years later, when Emma was 23 and in medical school, she received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a familiar piece of expensive stationery and a note that read simply, "I knew you'd make it. Keep fighting for others the way others fought for you." With pride and hope, Emma framed that note and hung it in her office. A reminder that we are never truly alone in this world, that somewhere, always, there is someone seeing us, believing in us, ready to reach out a hand when we need it most. And someday, when she became the doctor she'd dreamed of being, when she knelt beside frightened parents and told them their children would survive, she would be part of that chain too. She would be her,